people that are using pork to produce products that we love, but identifying who's doing well in that space, who shares our values, who's working to our standard, and then getting that on the menus where we can.
This is The Crackling. I'm Anthony Huckstep.
Well, it's pretty exciting to be here at the inn above Edgar's in Ainslie in Canberra, a bit of a hidden gem. Wayne Algar, how are you?
Very well, thank you very much.
It's good to get you on the show. I just mentioned a bit of a hidden gem. It's not for a local in Canberra, but if you're out of town, you guys are doing something special up here that I think people need to know about.
Yeah, look, we're above the local pub, little dining room. Everything comes off the wood-fired grill, and just a little bit of love. Nice and simple.
I love the attitude that you have about keeping things simple, but you've got a real dedication to produce and looking after it. Tell us a little bit about sort of what you do here.
Mate, we are all about, like you mentioned, produce. We keep it nice and simple. We recognise that we are above the local pub. We are in the suburbs. Really leaning into good quality produce. We work with quite a few suppliers that we trust. Trust is a big thing for us.
Yeah.
And mate, treat it with some respect. Our meat gets a little bit of salt over the fire, a well-made sauce, and that's it.
You're very humble about what you do, but the outcome of the dining experience is pretty amazing. Tell us about how do you deliver sort of your level of hospitality above a pub the way you do?
We really lean into our core values, where our values are quite strong. We hold ourselves accountable to our values. We have a lot of conversations, a lot of tough conversations in our team. We hold each other accountable, really recognising who we are and what we do, and really just working towards that and maintaining those values.
Tell us a little bit about that sort of old school hospitality which you love and deliver here. It's sort of disappeared a little bit in some sense around the industry. What does it take to deliver that?
Reflecting on the past 12 months, I've been back here for 12 months. Reflecting on the past 12 months, a lot of our conversations don't revolve around the restaurant. Yeah. They revolve around the people, the guest. What do we want the guest to say when they leave? How do we want them to feel? And rather than talking about the food or the service or the drinks or what that looks like, what does the whole experience look like? And working backwards from that, we want the guest to feel like this. We want the guest to leave feeling a certain way.
Yeah.
And what do we have to do to give the guest that experience? And then holding ourselves accountable to that.
You've been sort of at the helm of a few venues around town, but how did you get into cooking? What was the interest when you were young?
Oh, mate, did 7 years in the army. Had no skills when I got out. Fell into it. It was the last thing I thought I'd ever be doing. Started washing dishes. Enjoyed the teamwork, the camaraderie, having people around you. The chaos, I enjoyed the chaos. I started off in a very busy kitchen, and it just evolved from there. I think reflecting on my 40 years, thinking about moments in my life where food has had an impact on people or hospitality has had an impact on people, and really leaning into that.
You've got a pretty amazing program with all different sort of producers that you have great relationships with, but tell us a little bit about pork. How does pork weave itself through the menu, and do you have sort of strong connections there as well?
Again, leaning into the good produce. We work with producers, and we know who the producers are. We know who the people are doing well. We've always got a thumb on the pulse with what's happening. And if we see those producers pop up, we will nab it where we can. At the moment, we're working the product we've got on Borrowdale pork. LP's quality meats features on our menu quite heavily. Pinot's Dolce Vita. Again, people that are using pork to produce products that we love, but identifying who's doing well in that space, who shares our values, who's working to our standard, and then getting that on the menus where we can.
I noticed on the board just over your shoulder there that there's a giant tomahawk written there. Tell us a little bit about that dish.
The pork, the tomahawk, Borrowdale pork, tomahawk. We don't trim the bone. We love the texture. We love the scraggly bits that are on the bone off the fire. They get a little bit of extra char. A little bit of salt, give it a brine, and then off the fire. We serve that with the LP's Quality Meats pig's head sausage, one of my favourite products at the moment. It features in a couple of our menus. Mate, cabbage, sauce, old school, pork and cabbage. Can't go wrong.
When you say old school, what's the important sort of with the condiments that you have with it? Take us through how you make those and the important role they play with the pork.
Mate, I think we'll see across a lot of cultures in Europe, pork and cabbage features quite heavily. I love cabbage. I'm a simple man. A sauce made from a proper stock. We turn 80 litres of stock into about 6 litres of sauce, like they did in the good old days. And then we serve it with a macadamia mustard. So pork, mustard, cabbage. For me, something like that. A couple of slices of bread, put it in the middle. If we get away serving like that up here, we would. But I think the punters expect something a little more.
You mentioned LP's Quality Meats and the amazing stuff that Luke Powell does with his pork and small goods.
Yep.
How do you utilise that product across the menu?
Mate, his mortadella is where we kicked it off. I think back in 2021 was one of the first products that we had a look at. I grew up eating bologna and tomato sauce sandwiches in the playground at lunchtime. Travelled to Italy and really saw what mortadella should be. I found myself in Bologna in the middle of a piazza that was holding a mortadella festival.
Amazing.
Yeah, like mate, 80 stalls and all there was mortadella and slices. And then really understanding what good mortadella looks like. And at that time, nobody in Australia was doing good mortadella. And then Luke Powell popped up with his mortadella.
Yeah.
Absolutely loved it. And just seeing somebody that is passionate about something so simple, just does something properly the way it should be. And just it is what it is and it's what it should be.
You cook over, well, the elements over fire here. What's some of the tips and tricks or what you need to consider when you're cooking pork over fire just to get it spot on?
So we brine a lot of our pork, whether it's wet or dry, depending on the cut. Controlling your fire, controlling the temperature, knowing where your hot spots and your cold spots are, sealing it over your hot spot, moving it to your colder spot to finish it. When we look at cooking bellies, we create a kind of oven. So we'll wrap the fire up, we'll wrap the pork up, get it high above the fire. We think about it. I think about the fire as an oven, as a stove and an oven, and it's just about how you. It's all heat, and it's just about how you think about that heat and what you're trying to achieve at the end to get that done.
You sort of fell into hospitality after your time in the army. Take us into the kitchen. How do you feel when you're in there with your team and you're cooking on a busy service?
Mate, I don't do that much cooking these days. I'm here every service, but I think that getting to a point where watching my team pump out high quality food and give the guests a good experience. Very, very proud. I'm proud of the people around me. Proud of what we've all achieved together, or what we are achieving together. Still love the chaos. Still love the challenging customers. The dietaries that come through. Yeah, I think just that love and seeing people leave here with a happy. They walk past the kitchen. They thank the people in the kitchen. They thank the chefs. They thank the waiters. Just super proud. Pride's probably what I feel the most.
You've seen the industry change, and particularly here in Canberra, the culinary evolution's been extraordinary. What do you like about Canberra? It's so different to Sydney or Melbourne.
I like the access we have to everything. We've got this little small town. I don't like talking about Canberra too much. I don't want everyone to move here. Love the place. My heart's here. I've been here 20 years and never considered leaving. Having the access to the quality products and the producers that you see in Sydney and Melbourne, which is something we didn't have even 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Really struggling. I remember one guy getting the Pino's Dolce Vita products. He'd load his van up, he'd drive for the shop, he'd load his van up and he'd bring the products down. And that was it. That was the only way to access it. There was no big suppliers. What do I love about it now? nice and small. It's a good little community. Chefs all help each other out. Front of house guys, we see a lot of the locals doing pop-ups with each other. It's probably what I love about it the most.
You really focus on that old school hospitality. For young chefs coming through, what sort of advice would you give them to sort of create a sort of clear career path?
Something I wish I'd done younger was find my values, both as a person and as a chef. What do I want to look like as a leader? How do I want to present myself to the staff, and how do I want to present myself to and the venues to the guests and to the punters? Find your values, good strong values. Live by those values. Work with chefs that share similar values.
Yeah.
Don't rush. You don't have to be a head chef in 5 years' time. Don't be a head chef in 5 years' time. Take your time, learn as much as you can, travel if you can, eat as much as you can, save your money, go to the good restaurants, go to the people that inspire you, eat at their restaurants, stay away from the drink as much as you can. Find your values and love what you do. If you're not loving what you do, have a look somewhere else.
Well, it's interesting you say that. I mean, what is it that you love about what you're doing?
Probably the guests, being able to deliver an experience to the guest. We get this one moment, and one thing that I talk about is we just recently had a table come through. An older lady, it was her birthday. The guest made a comment that her mum doesn't get out much, and she'd like to be treated, would like to be spoiled. And I had a chat to Kieran before the table came in. Mate, I want this lady leaving here feeling like a queen. And a few drinks into a little bit of caviar. 2 weeks later, the review pops up on Google, and it literally said they made my mum feel like a queen. And for me, I'm still smiling about that.
Yeah.
Being able to deliver that experience. You got this person for one tiny little speck in their time, and being able to deliver an experience like that is it's what I love about hospitality.
Well, Wayne, it's an absolute honour to be in your home, and love to catch up again soon. So thanks for coming on the show, and keep in touch.
Beautiful, mate. Thank you very much.
This is The Crackling, a Deep in the Weeds production in partnership with PorkStar. I'm Anthony Huckstep. Stay tuned as we catch up with some of Australia's best chefs and pork producers to discover what makes Australian pork so special.